Yeah.
I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won.
Yeah.
I hope my team they won.
Yeah. Man.
I hope my team they won. I hope my team they won.
Yeah.
I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Mike Washington is back on assignment. Some things came up right before the show as he was fired and ready to go. He had to go do, as they say, duty calls. But we do have AD Drew in here, as we like to call him, the HBCU mid-major whisper, expert for sure, when we break it down. So we'll get into exactly that as we release the mid-major poll rankings today. We'll do that in segment 3. But before we get all of that, let me say welcome to episode 709 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast, the show that's covering the sporting HBCU dash for all things HBCU sports, for institutions large and small, from the NAIA to the NCAA. We share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs in the business of HBCU sports. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, along with my co-host, Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. We're filming from our home studios and sending a signal live to our Case-Way 1230 AM studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer, multi-Hall of Famer, that is, Ralph Cooper, in the beautiful home of Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. With that being said, let's bring in Charles Bishop and none other than AD Drew. Man, we had some big-time matchups this weekend. Discussed much of that in terms of major division, and obviously some of those crossover major division, mid-major division. But arguably the best game out there was at the mid-major level. We kind of talked about that leading into the weekend to make sure that if you could, you find a way to catch it. It was on ESPN, so great dialogue. And then the SIAC kind of kicked things off when they started on Thursday with a matchup that was a classic one between Clark Atlanta as they were hosting Fort Valley State. How they went down to a 4-down stop. Credit to the defense, Panther defense of Clark Atlanta University as they get it done, get that first win in the SIAC, starting things off. Looking really good in terms of that matchup. But the one that had everybody intrigued, or a lot of folks at least intrigued, was this number 13 Virginia Union. As they were hosted by Edward Waters in the inaugural Unity Classic. And they got it done. Last second field goal. Multiple things. So many things on the line. Edward Waters starts off the season 3-0. Check this out. First time since 1964. Obviously, it was a break when they played football, but still thinking about having that type of start. So it was a matchup between top 5 HBCU mid-major division. Featured a game of the week. Number 5, Edward Waters hosted number 1 ranked Virginia Union Panthers in the Unity Classic. That was not enough on the line. You had game 7, or at least a matchup, number 7 between the CIAA and the SIAC, with 3 games apiece for each conference. This game would decide who would hold the mythical CIAA SIAC Challenge Trophy. Yeah, I put that out there. So, Drew, if it ever comes to existence, you point over here at me and said, I got a friend.
But yeah, Doc, I guess we're probably going to be the media coordinator for it.
No doubt about that one. He certainly has enough experience in that. So as they reported coming out of Edward Waters, Jacksonville, Florida, on the night filled with history, heart, and HBCU pride, the Edward Waters University Tigers pull off one of the biggest wins in program history, defeating number 13. That's top 25, 13. They were number one in our mid-major ranking, 41-38 in the inaugural Unity Classic against Nathaniel Glover Community Field and Stadium. The Tigers sealed the victory in a dramatic fashion on a game-winning 35-yard field goal by freshman kicker Ryan Cagney as time expired, sending the Tiger Nation into celebration and pushing EWU to a 3-0 start. And as we said, first time since 1964, quarterback Noah Biden battled through the Virginia Union defense, finishing the night 20 of 35 for 303 yards passing with 1 touchdown. Most importantly, no interceptions. The ground game was done by running back Jontarius Thomas, continued strong season, rushing for 102 yards on just 16 carries, with 1 touchdown, punishing the Panthers with physical runs all evening long, according to this article. That being said, I kind of want to get y'all thoughts on that matchup. As we look at it, we can go a little deeper into that in the second segment of other matchups as we would. So we'll kind of tease that out, but I wanted to put that on the table to get you thinking as we come in the second segment to break it down even more. So let's go back. What else is on your mind, Charles, at this time? What is on your mind in the HBCU week? And as Brian is not on the same page with everybody else, mid-major division, week 3 in terms of the major division, he seems to think that's a little hard to go back and forth. I can get it. I get it. But AD Drew has made sure we understood it, so we follow the directors of the expert there and those that set the course. But with that being said, as we welcome all these live listeners in, we appreciate you joining us. Charles, what's on your mind today in the HBCU sports world?
Yeah, and I know we're going to get into Edward Waters and Virginia Union, but I mean, I think the other game that really turned heads this past weekend was Kentucky State and Grambling. I mean, Kentucky State was
hold on, let's pause.
Knocking on the door.
Let's point over there at that man over there, if you would.
Yeah, he called out.
AD Drew told us. Continue, Charles.
Yeah, I mean, I think we talked a little bit about it on Sunday, but had Kentucky State's quarterback not pulled up a little bit short, and they end up going for the field goal, and give credit to Grambling, big last-minute drive to send it into overtime. But, I mean, just the fact that game was as close as it was, I don't think any of us saw it in that fashion except for AD. And now guess who pays a trip to AD Drew this weekend?
I think they won't be just a little bit mad, man.
Yeah, you get a upset thoroughbred coming to you.
Wow. Big time. AD Drew, what's on your mind?
Oh, Dr. Cavil, that is such a hard one to follow, and we're not gonna play Captain Obvious when it comes to the games. So let's just talk about the how about Florida A&M and Albany State, and what that game meant to everybody. And Albany State came out with that game much better than a lot of people thought. Albany State gave FAMU a run for their money. Quinn Gray, here's the question: was that a Quinn Gray audition? A live audition? I mean, as
it looked good for the first half. As we said, Charles and I were in Jackson early game. So as we wound down and did our post game and finally got out of there and got back to the hotel, we got to catch up with TC Taylor, Coach TC Taylor, Jackson State, and his brother, having good vibes, obviously. Talked with him and chucked it up a little bit. But as we do as media folks, we can't stand not following our games to make sure we can give you the most up-to-date information you can get. So Charles did the work where he's watching one of the games. Which one were you watching, Charles?
Grambling, Kentucky State. I think everybody was paying attention to that one.
I was watching the FAMU Albany State game. So we were going back and forth, and it's wild when you go back and say, oh, yeah. So he's keeping me up to date as if I'm watching, and I'm keeping him up to date as watching. So you're absolutely right. Those were the two games that were featured that night in terms of that had HBC World intrigued for a half in terms of both of them. For the second half, in overtime for that matter, was the Kentucky State Grambling game. So great information, A.D. Drew, when you talked about it.
One last thing, Dr. Cavil.
Mm-hmm.
And thanks to Stephen Gaither for making sure everybody knows where I get my bread and butter, Dr. Cavil.
That was hilarious. Do you get jam with your toast?
I don't know if it's jam. It's got to be jam because jelly don't shake like this, man.
No doubt. Good stuff. Good stuff. Let me go back to you, Charles. What else is on your mind?
I think we got some great matchups this upcoming week. I think, speaking of the Fighting Gaithers, I think that's a pretty good one coming up this weekend. Virginia State going to Winston-Salem State. But you got a lot of SWAC teams, quite a few to have a bye week. And, that'll build things up in a couple of weeks. But, it's still some meat on the bone this week. So I'm excited to talk about a few of those games, especially on the mid-major level.
Yeah, I agree with you. They should be interesting. Starting getting that chance where you get some real conference matchups, as both for the CIAA and SIAC. We'll get that into the last half of the show, some of those features matchups. We'll base it on who's ranked. Will be some of those, and it'll be intriguing to see who's ranked. And as we kind of tease this out a little bit, it's going to be interesting. Does Virginia Union stay number one? Charles, what's your other thoughts? Do you keep Virginia Union number one, or did you go in a different direction with your vote?
Oh, no. This week I'm going in a different direction. I think it's warranted.
Drew, did you keep Virginia Union number one, or did you go in a different direction?
I didn't have Virginia number one to start with. How about that? Not in my personal poll.
Right. I forgot in your poll that you put out that you did not have them number one for a little while now.
Keep something in mind on that Winston-Salem game, and Steve brought this out. He mentioned this the other day, that because of the quirk in the CIAA schedule, that only the last 7 games count. So for Virginia State, the game does not count.
Yeah, that boggled my mind when he decided to make us aware of that again. I just knew that that was a 1-year thing, but I guess 2-year scheduling component in there that makes that happen at the minimum. I guess they could schedule it more, but yeah, that's going to be fascinating to keep up with that. And Virginia State, Virginia Union have the benefit of those kind of schedules. Yeah, WSSU Ram, that JSU Virginia Union matchup is going to be a key one. I like to see where they rank going into that game as we get into that.
Yeah.
With that being said, let me do this last one before we take this first break. SIC commissioner named NCAA Men's Volleyball Committee Chair. The NCAA announced September 8th that the SIC commissioner, Dr. Anthony Holloman, has been appointed chair of the National Collegiate Men's Volleyball Committee, becoming the first historically Black college university HBCU representative to hold the position in the governing body's history. It is a tremendous honor to be selected by my colleagues to chair the committee on behalf of the Southern Intercollegiate Athletic Conference and its members. Holloman said, "I'm excited to continue the important work of the Men's NC Volleyball Committee to deliver incredible championship experiences," end quote. Holloman, a member of the committee since 2023, succeeds outgoing chair Anthony Archibald of Princeton University. His 1-year term begins September 1st with the option to extend for a second year after the 25-26 season. His appointment became official at the committee's annual summer meeting held June 11th and 12th in Indianapolis, with the vote finalized June 12th. NCAA Coordinator of Champions Alliance's Ethan Walker expressed his excitement regarding Holloman's appointment. The 5-member committee oversees the NCAA Men's Volleyball Championship and is responsible for site selection, bracketing, assignment of officials, enforcing rules and policies, coordinating ancillary events such as the Volleyball Social and Manager Award selection. Big time shout out to the incoming chair, Dr. Anthony Holloman of the Southern Intercollegiate Athletic Conference, SIAC, as we like to call it. With that being said, let's take our first break, come back on the other side, and let's get into that Unity Classic. I want to see how these guys break this down. What did they see take place? We'll be right back after this first break.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavil of Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. Whether you're a student or a lifelong supporter, our gear lets you wear your HBCU story with confidence and style. Because when you wear HBCU Image, you're not just wearing clothes. You're wearing culture. You're wearing pride. You're wearing purpose. HBCU.
College football fans, the Cricket Celebration Bowl is celebrating 10 years of crowning an HBCU national champion. A champion will rise at Mercedes-Benz Stadium on December 13th as the MEAC and SWAC champions clash in Atlanta. Join us for championship football, interactive fan experiences, and iconic marching bands. It's an HBCU family reunion that you don't want to miss. See who will be crowned the next HBCU national champion. For event and ticket information, visit thecelebrationbowl.com.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Bills inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Charles Bishop and AD Drew. Before I get you all to break down and give your thoughts on this, I wanted to kind of look at the statistics and give some analysis there for everybody that hadn't seen it yet. And then we can get into some players. And then the final question is probably going to lean a little bit into that next matchup. It's so hard oftentimes when you're doing football, people get excited. You know, as soon as the game's over, you cheer a little bit, and then you look forward, particularly if there's a tantalizing game to look forward to. But we're going to do some justice to this matchup. First off, Edward Waters, in terms of total yardage, really separated themselves from Virginia Union in a lot of ways. 489 total yards. Virginia had 341. Edward Waters did most of their damage in the air, putting up 323 of those 489 total yards, while Virginia Union only put up 137. But they did outrush Edward Waters. They put up 204 yards rushing. Edward Waters did really solid, though. They had 166 penalties. Edward Waters had more penalties, 21 for 204 yards. Think about that. But the Panthers weren't too far behind them. They had 15 for 158. So not necessarily clean game in terms of the referees. They pulled out the yellow handkerchief quite a bit that game.
Left
The
their
first
mark.
down was even, 26-27. Third down was for Virginia Union, 7 of 12, while Edward Waters was 4 of 9. So a lot of big plays when you put all those yards and only needing to be able to get to third down 9 times for Edward Waters, while 12 times for Virginia Union. Then there were a couple of fourth down big time plays in there. Panthers went for it once and they were successful, while Edward Waters went for it twice and they were successful one. Even though Virginia Union had more rushing yards, it really didn't affect their ability to control the clock as they like to do in a lot of their contests. They did have the time possession, but they just edged out Edward Waters. It was literally 26 to 29-34 in terms of time. In terms of scoring, just how the flow of the game, Virginia Union's opened it up as Curtis Allen had a 2-yard run. Kick was good by Myers. It was a 10-play, 76 yards on the drive that took up 6:23. Edward Waters did answer back in the second quarter as Jean Batista, I should say, had a 53-yard pass from Noah Bodden. It was just 4 plays to give you some indication that quick strike. It was over 65 yards, and it took 2 minutes. Virginia Union gets back in the scoring column as they score. Curtis Allen, 12-yard run. Kick was good again by Myers. 4 plays, 65 yards, so they had the ability to have a pretty quick strike themselves, only taking 155. Edward Waters got right back into it as John Terrius Thomas had 2-yard run, but it was after 10 plays and 85 yards. This one did take a little more time as the game was knotted up with Ryan Cagney's kick, 4-12 on that. That was at the half, 14-14, getting just lathered up. Edward Waters comes back and scores another touchdown, 15-yard pass from Torrey Morrison as John Batista getting the action. It was 7 plays, 82 yards, 5:45. They take a 21-14 lead. While Virginia Union answers back, they only answer back with the field goal. Brady Myers, 35-yard field goal, 10 plays, 63 yards, taking 5 minutes. A lot of time not to be able to get in the end zone, but you got to score, and they did, 21-17. Looks like Edward Waters tries to pull away as Brady Tillman had a 70-yard run. The kick was good by Ryan. 1 play, 65 yards, 40 seconds. Quick strike, 28-17. Going into the fourth quarter, Edward Waters is able to score again to really pull away, it seems, for Virginia Union. Ryan had a 37-yard field goal, 12 plays, and 33 yards to get to that field goal, and they go up 31-17. Virginia Union says, not so fast, my friend. Jeremiah Francis, 5-yard pass from Roselle R.J. Kick was good, 9 plays, 75 yards for 5 minutes and 25 seconds. So they bring the lead down to 7. They were able to stop Edward Waters. They get the ball back, and they are able to tie the game. A 50-yard fumble recovery is what did it. Lumumba Howard gets it done. It's good. It's tied at 31-31. This is when the action really gets going. 3:50 left in the game. Kieran Jackson, 90-yard kickoff return as the Edward Waters take the lead right back, 38-31. But Virginia Union not to be undone. They are the reigning Dr. Bill's champion of 2024, coming in the season ranked number 1. They've held it for 4 straight weeks. Francis has a 23-yard pass from Roselle. 8 plays, 66 yards, ties it at 38. And as you all have heard, there was a winning kick by Ryan Cagney of 45 yards, 5 plays, 45 yards to get to that kick with 57 seconds in terms of what it took to get it done. As time expires, Edgewater Tigers knocked off top 25 team and the number 1 ranked team over the last couple of weeks. Charles, what were some key players? What were some key thoughts in terms of getting some highlights, watching parts of that, and then ultimately getting the news that Edward Water Tigers gets it done?
Well, I think the big thing I mentioned going into that game, we knew Noah Biden and Curtis Allen were going to be the big names in this contest. But what jumped out to me is the fact that Edward Waters was running the football. I was really kind of going into this contest expecting Noah Biden to put up, 40 attempts, 45 attempts, something to that effect, pass for over 300 yards. He did pass for over 300 yards, but John Thomas, 97 yards on 16 carries. Brady Tillman had another 70 yards. I did not expect to see Edward Waters with some semblance of some balance in this game. So kudos to them, especially. I'm thinking in my head, Air Dooley. So I was looking at basically, Noah Biden putting up quite a few pass attempts. And when I looked at this game in the first quarter and what jumped out 7-0 in that 6-minute drive. So in my head, I'm thinking this is what the game is going to kind of look like in terms of Virginia Union pounding the football and keeping that high-octane offense off the field, but it turns into a shootout. So I really wasn't expecting the score to be anywhere near what it was.
It did turn out into a shootout. 80 Drew, what were your thoughts after the breakdown and after you read? And did you catch up on all your notes, all the work you were having to do before that? When you got to it, what were your thoughts on the game? Did it turn out like you thought, or were there ways that were different than what you thought?
It's not the fact that Edward Waters won the game. What that game got me is the old crap. Why do I say old crap? Morehouse's next two opponents are Kentucky State and Edward Waters.
No, that's warranted. Oh crap!
So that's really, if you want me to be honest, like, okay, this is not look. You came in when you looked at certain team schedules back in July. You was like, these teams have easier schedules, and now, well, when you go through the SIAC, can't say those teams that you thought in July had easy schedules have easy schedules now. And the crazy thing is, if you look at the SIAC over the last 5 years, there has been a team that was at the bottom of the conference every year that rises to the top. I mean, a couple years ago, we had Benedict rise to the top. Then we had Miles rise to the top, along with Allen. Then David Wright takes his talents from Allen to Clark Atlanta. They rise to the top of the conference. Now, this year, looks as if Edward Waters is that surprise team.
Yeah, every year it seems to be one in terms of what that looks like. Who are some of the standouts that really excited you about what they were able to get done in this matchup, Charles?
Isaiah Jean-Baptiste, wide receiver for Edward Waters, 6 catches, 113 yards. So, and then you had Mekhi Lovett, he had another 3 catches for 89 yards. So we know Edward Waters can throw the ball, but like I mentioned, going back to the running game, John Thomas had close to 100 yards rushing. I just was not expecting that. I really was expecting more of an air show with regards to Edward Waters. And, Biden still puts up 300 yards, but the fact that they have some balance, that's scary going forward.
Good stuff, good stuff. Drew, who stood out to you most out of this game?
I'm gonna flip out. I'm gonna flip it on the defensive side of the ball, Dr. Cavil. The fact that they had 4 tackles for loss, including 2 sacks, that's something that you have to look at, including Dr. Cavil, 2 forced fumbles. So that's something that you have to go. This is a team that is going to wreak havoc in the opposing team's backfield and is going to create turnovers. We were just talking about this today with basketball. You name a sport where you lose the turnover battle and you win the game. It doesn't happen too often. It can happen.
With 21 penalties. With 21 penalties.
But when you make mistakes, i.e. the penalties that you talked about, Charles, and you turn the ball over, 9 times out of 10, that's a recipe for an L. Mm-hmm. So this team is one of those teams that puts you in position to make those mistakes. That's what stands out to me, Dr. Cavil.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Great breakdown in terms of the matchup. Let's take our next break and get back into it as we unveil the top 7 and see does Virginia stay number 1 or who jumps to the number 1 spot if they fall. And if they do fall, how far do they fall? We'll be right back after this second break.
Football fans, the Cricket Celebration Bowl is celebrating 10 years of crowning an HBCU national champion. A champion will rise at Mercedes-Benz Stadium on December 13th as the MEAC and SWAC champions clash in Atlanta. Join us for championship football, interactive fan experiences, and iconic marching bands. It's an HBCU family reunion that you don't want to miss. See who will be crowned the next HBCU national champion. For event and ticket information, visit thecelebrationbowl.com.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. Whether you're a student or a lifelong supporter, our gear lets you wear your HBCU story with confidence and style. Because when you wear HBCU Image, you're not just wearing clothes. You're wearing culture. You're wearing pride. You're wearing purpose. HBCU.
With over 25 years of serving our communities, Destiny Financial Services, a division of Global Life, is here to help you and your family through difficult times. From cancer care to accidental industries to cardiac care, we all know that there are times that you can't control what happens in your life, but you can be prepared to weather the storm when it comes. Call DFS at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at www.globelifeinsurance.com. That is 877-300-8269, or again, the website at www.globelifeinsurance.com.
ESPN Events presents Red Lobster Band of the Year, a title reserved for elite HBCU marching bands. A season-long competition that culminates in Atlanta on Friday, December 12th. Drum majors, percussion, drill, auxiliaries, musicality. All aspects will be examined by the toughest judges in the world of college bands. 4 will qualify for the big stage, where national champions will be crowned. Follow us on social media for rankings updates throughout the season. And join us in Atlanta on December 12th. For event and ticket information, visit bandoftheyear.com.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Charles Bishop and A.D. Drew. As we told you, we'll unveil the top 7 in mid-major division. Let's bring up the poll and get right into it as we break it down. This is last week's top 7. Let's get into a couple of scores before we get into this poll to tell you how last week's top 7 did. I just talked about the fact that number 5 defeated number 1, Edgewater Tigers over the Virginia Panthers, 41-38. We had a next matchup features number 2, Johnson C. Smith over Elizabeth City State. Johnson C. Smith improves to 3-0, much like the Edgewater Tigers, as Elizabeth City falls to 0-3, 21-17 was the final there. Number 3 in terms of our top teams was Albany State. They went up and faced the FBS program, FAMU, and went on the road. Played well for a half, but ultimately lost the game 33-25. FAMU improves to 1-2, while the Albany State Rams improved to 1-1 on the season. Number 4 in terms of our matchup here is another mid-major, Tuskegee Golden Tigers. We got to see this matchup live as you had to face the number 1 ranked FBS FCS program, major division program that improved to 2-1, 1-0 overall in terms of not getting in the conference play yet. Number 4, Tuskegee lost their game 30-0 as they were shut out. As Drew moves fast, he's tired of looking and hearing about that matchup. Skip past 5, 69 play. Number 7 is in matchup as Clark Atlanta Panthers had their Thursday night game on ESPN2 as they defeat Fort Valley State 26-21. The Panthers improved to 2-1, 1-0 in the SIAC, while Fort Valley State falls to 0-2 and 0-1 in the race there. So let's get into the top 7 and see what it looks like this week. As we see rankings for number 2, that's top 7. Dropping out, Virginia State Trojans, as they did not play. They fell out of the poll based on what some other things happened. We'll see what y'all think about that. They are still 1-1 on the season. They have an intriguing matchup coming up this week, but we get a chance to talk a little more about that in the last segment. Let's go to those that are receiving votes. Yeah, the Benedict Tigers that are 2-0, 1-0 in the SIC, 134 points. Bowie State Bulldogs, 1-1 on the season with 128 points. You do have Virginia State Trojans receiving votes, essentially number 10, if you would. Third one outside of the votes, they're at 126 as they are 1-1. Let's look at who is number 7 in week number 2 for the mid-major division. It's none other than the Winston-Salem State Rams. They are 1-1 on the season, 142 points. 2-1 it should be in terms of what they're doing there. They jump back in the top 7. Number 6, as we move along here, we have Clark Atlanta Panthers. After that win, they move up a spot. 2-1, 1-0 in conference play. As Winston-Salem State, as you see, was not ranked last week. Let's get into number 5. Number 5 this week is none other than Tuskegee Golden Tigers. They had their first loss of the year, 2-1, still 1-0 in the conference race. They do fall a spot after a tough loss, just one spot, 158 points as they continue to move things along. Bringing it to number 4, Albany State Golden Rams, another team that played up as teams seem to be going through the SWAC gauntlet. You have none other than Albany State Golden Rams, 2-1 on the season as they take their first loss. They are 1-0 in conference race. They do have one first place, even though they had their loss. Fall a spot, 167, as they did lose one of their first place votes, but they kept one. Getting into the top 3. Number 3. This is where it changes a little bit. For Virginia Union Panthers, they do fall. They fall all the way to number 3. They do hold on to 2 first place votes. They're 1-1 on the season, 199 points, as they fall from that number 1 spot. So we will have a new number 1 team. This is probably where it gets interesting. First, who's number 2? Number 2 in the rankings.
Whoa!
Hudson Smith Golden Bulls. They remain at number 2, undefeated. 2 first place votes, 201. Bringing us number 2. So as you could probably add it up and imagine, the new number 1 team just defeated the previous number 1 team, none other than Edward Water Tigers, 3-0, 2-0 in terms of the conference race. 3 first place vote, just edging out Johnson C. Smith in terms of the votes and in terms of the points, 211 to 209. They move all the way up from the number 1 spot, and first time in a long time, not only are they undefeated 3-0 since the 60s, they jumped all the way to the number 1 ranking. They haven't been number 1 ranked in my poll rank since I've started doing this. So credit to the Edward Waters Tigers as they get the number 1 spot. Now, the question is, how long can they keep it? That's one question. But more importantly, let's go to 80 Drew and get his thoughts in terms of the top 7. You said Virginia Union didn't have your number 1 vote. They're still not number 1, even in this poll rankings. But what do you think in the top 7?
I'm speechless, Dr. Cavil.
Never have heard that.
Let me think this one through. You got a Johnson C. Smith team who beats nationally ranked Valdosta State, defending national runner-up Valdosta State. You got a Everett Waters team who defeated the defending HBCU national champion, who lost to Valdosta State last year. And you're going to rank that win ahead of Johnson C. Smith? Help me understand this one, Charles, because I don't get it. Well, I know who I voted number one.
In a week-to-week?
Just for full disclosure, I had Johnson C. 1, Everett Waters 2, Albany 3, and Union 4.
In a week-to-week poll, Johnson C. showed a little chink in the armor versus Elizabeth City State. Maybe that influenced the poll this week. Because after coming off of that big win over Valdosta State, maybe it was a little bit of a hangover. Maybe they opened the door for Edward Waters. Maybe.
Yeah, I think as you said, week to week is how you look at it. And there's a lot of different ways. I'm not saying that, AD Drew, your points that you made are incorrect. I think they're very valid. Let me put that out there first. But Valdosta State had that loss. When they come back and they beat Shawan 56-3 this week. You get credit for that win in terms of what they got done. So fascinating there. But you also had Johnson C. Smith and had a tough game in terms of the matchup this past weekend. So there's a question in terms of just how well they're playing. Again, things will play out and we'll get to see what it looks like. But I think a lot of it is you take Virginia Union, that was the number one team, and I know you didn't see them as the number one team. So I think that makes a difference too in regards to who you beat, where you beat them at, what does that look like. So good points, good questions. We'll see what Charles has to say. What do you think in terms of the top 7?
I'm firmly in your corner, AD, because I didn't see this. I thought Johnson C. Smith would continue to hold on to that number one spot. Big win from Edward Waters, but maybe it was a chink in the armor this past week for the Golden Bulls that dropped them to number 2. So, I could go with that argument. I think one of the interesting ones that at least sets it up for me this week is a good 2 versus 3 matchup in terms of Johnson C. Smith and Virginia Union. So I'm looking forward to that game this particular week. In Tuskegee, Benedict hadn't been scored on yet. So that'll be interesting with regards to Tuskegee sitting at 5 to see if Benedict can work their way into the top 7 on next week.
Yeah, it's a lot of good matchups going around, and it'll be set up. We'll see. We'll have some top 10 type matchups all week in regards to the poll rankings. It'll be interesting to see what the lab listeners think in terms of the poll rankings this week. And we'll see week to week what changes next week in this top 7. With that being said, let's take a last break, come back on the other side, and get back into it and talk about some of these matchups coming up this week, especially since both Charles and AD Drew don't like the top 7. I can't believe you all don't see Edward Waters as the number 1 team.
No disrespect to Edward Waters.
Yeah, some biasness out there. The SIAC did beat the CIAA 4-3, and y'all still have all the weight at the CIAA. Well, I see where your
and maybe my bias is because Johnson C. beat the snot out of us, so maybe that's my bias too.
That could be a good point when you add
it was
that.
A 45 burger, yeah.
With 4 missed PATs.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
Well, let's talk about those matchups after we get back after this last break.
When you're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics, there's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Planning an event? From weddings to corporate functions, CMJ Events LLC brings over 15 years of experience to make your vision a reality. Based in Metro Atlanta and serving statewide, even internationally, we provide versatile event planning and authentic catering cuisines tailored to your needs. Whether it's pre-game meals for student athletes, fundraisers, weddings, corporate functions, CMJ Events LLC is your one-stop solution for exceptional service and unforgettable food. Our diverse culinary heritage means we cater to all cultural tastes, dietary needs, and food restrictions, making every meal uniquely yours. Let's make your next event unforgettable. Visit us on all social media at CMJ Events LLC or email us at cmjeventsllc@gmail.com. Also give us a call at 404-664-3882 so that we can start planning now.
College football fans, a champion will rise in Atlanta on December 13th. MEAC champion, SWAC champion, the 10th Cricket Celebration Bowl, crowning an HBCU national champion. For event and ticket information, visit thecelebrationbowl.com.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties. Through its programs, Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and parenting education coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. HBCU Image, a Kenny T's company.
ESPN Events presents Red Lobster Band of the Year. Returning to Atlanta on December 12th, 4 bands will qualify for the big stage, where 2 national champions will be crowned. Follow us for rankings updates throughout the season, and join us on December 12th. For event and ticket information, visit bandoftheyear.com.
Compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want a law, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Let's get right back into it. Let's get in these key matchups. I have 5 matchups that I selected to you. A lot of them are amongst ranked teams. I want to see where you think about these matchups. Let's pull up these key matchups in week number 3 in the top 7 as we get going and get you all up here. This first one features the new number 1 mid-major team, the Edgewater Tigers, 3-0, 1-0, shocking everybody. They go on the road. Major Division Bethune-Cookman Wildcats, 0-3 on the season. Record-wise, you're like, hey, this could get interesting. Bethune-Cookman had a tough loss to mid-major program out of the SIAC last year. Field goal at the end of the game. Gave the game winner to Clark Atlanta Panthers. It really kicked off even more so of that rat poison than ever before, as Clark Atlanta was stating themselves to be about the football business. They ultimately played for SIAC champion, didn't get it done, but there seemed to be that they'll be right back in the mix. But this is about the Tigers, new Tiger on the block, if you would. Edgewater Tigers. The Wildcats had lost last weekend on the road to South Carolina State, but they did put up a bunch of points, getting 40-some points in that matchup as they lost to the Bulldogs of South Carolina State. So I'm intrigued to see what you have to say about this matchup. A.D. Drew, can Edgewater go and get this victory for Bethune Wildcats, or will that number 1 spot be short-lived?
I need a tough, hard-fought slobber knocker of a game, because we got Edgewater next week. Can Edgewater do it? What a story this would be should Brian Jenkins, who 3 months ago was the number 2 man at Edward Waters, take over, go into Bethune, and knock off the Wildcats. Brian Jenkins, championship coach. Brian Jenkins. How many MEAC titles did he win? 2, 3 when he was at Bethune, either outright or share in a couple of MEAC titles. Team that defeated my beloved Rattlers 9 consecutive years. He started that off with, I believe, the first 5 or 6 were under his watch. Can they do it? Yes, they can. But Dr. Cavil, I am still, even though I know where my bread is buttered, Steve, I am still the fact that D1 FCS will ultimately wear down Division II. I am pulling for Edward Waters, but I am betting on Bethune-Cookman if I were a betting man.
If they get it done, 80 Drew, you can have some marketing that you can get done in Morehouse. You have the number 1 team coming.
Brian Jenkins might be coming back to Bethune if he gets it done. Man.
Is this another audition game?
We had audition day last week, another one this week. So with that, Charles, add on a little bit. What are your thoughts in terms of this matchup?
Well, first and foremost, you lost to Clark last season, so you can't allow.
Oh man, Charles just got cut off. We'll see if we can get him back in. See what happens there as he was in there.
I think
what he was saying, what we all said is that because of the loss to Clark Atlanta last week, you cannot lose to Bethune-Cookman this weekend.
And because of that loss to Clark last year, Bethune-Cookman is not going to come in and take this game lightly, as they may have with Clark Atlanta Panthers on last year. Their Dr. Cavil. So it's going to be interesting. And then let's talk about this though, Dr. Cavil. These two schools less than an hour away from each other. So I'm not going to just filling in the blanks for you, Charles, till you got back. So I don't want to step on your time, but I did kind of finish up your point was like Bethune is not going to take Edward Waters lightly like they may have took Clark Atlanta lightly last year. But I'll turn it back over to you.
No, that's exactly where I was going. I think Derek Tillins will definitely be up for Edward Waters, especially knowing that you got a capable quarterback back there with Noah Biden. But I think the big thing with Bethune-Cookman is switching quarterback, Cameron Ransom, and the fact that they were able to just go bonkers in the fourth quarter against South Carolina State last week. I think that bodes well. That plus antennas up, I think Bethune-Cookman will get this victory.
Question, Charles.
The dream runs away from Edward Waters. Go ahead.
Yeah, and even if you cut down 21 turnovers, 21 penalties by half, you still got, double-digit turnovers.
Yeah. What was that? Was that fourth quarter run due to Bethune change the quarterback, or the South Carolina State change the defense and get some of the 2s and 3s some playing time?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that plays into it, but you never know just the confidence part of being able to get out there and put some points up and get some, and get the ladder up and going. So I think that bodes well for Bethune-Cookman going forward.
Let's move on to this next matchup. It's fascinating to me in terms of its conference matchup, but not only that, it features 2 of the top 3 teams. A number 2 team that a lot of folks, frankly, these 2 gentlemen think that Johnson C. Smith Golden Bulls should be number 1. We have them coming in here at number 2 in terms of the poll rankings, but they faced number 3, last week's number 1. So you have 2 quality number 1 type teams in this matchup, with Virginia Union winning the championship last year. Johnson C. Smith failed with their last 2 games, just missed out on a championship game appearance. But they get the chance right now. As was said, intriguing with the new CIAA format, who games this counts for and who it doesn't. With that being said, let me go to you, AD Drew. What are your thoughts on this top-ranked matchup as a conference game? 2 versus 3.
As a half conference game, Dr. Cavil.
Right.
As I believe that this game does not count for
Virginia
Union.
That's right.
This year. And if I remember right, last year, this game did not count for Union. So, although Union is coming in with a chip on their shoulder, Johnson C. Smith is not intimidated. Number one, they got the win last year. Number two, the Johnson C. Smith team it has shown to be good. Union's going to come back in with the chip on their shoulder. Union at home this year. I think we're going to have a new number one no matter what, because I see both Edward Waters and Johnson C. Potentially dropping this one.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Charles, your thoughts?
It has a concern, Virginia Union, that Edward Waters was able to run the football the way they were. And I think Johnson C. Smith is going to come in ready to pound the rock against Virginia. Even though they're on the road, I got to go with the Golden Bulls in this one. I think, they had a little bit of hangover against Elizabeth City State, but they come back ready to rock this upcoming week.
Good stuff. Good stuff. It'd be fascinating, as Drew put out there. Could this victory vault one of these teams back into the number one spot, particularly with the loss? Virginia Union is probably a little harder because they would have lost themselves to a proverbial. But if it's a loss by the Virginia Panthers, Johnson C. Smith gets it done. Makes it easy for the argument these gentlemen made. Let's go to our third matchup here. This one is also in the actual SIAC. Moving from the CIAA, we'll switch to the SIAC. It is a top 10 matchup essentially. It's number 5. It should be one before that.
Did I hit it one too many times?
Yeah, let's go.
No.
It's not in there.
There it is. They out of order.
Okay. Tuskegee Golden Tigers. In terms of the Benedict Tigers, number 5 Tuskegee Golden Tigers going to come in at 2-1, 1-0. Number 8 is Benedict Tigers that come in undefeated, surprising a lot of folks. Not only that, as Charles alluded earlier, they shut out the last 2 opponents. They've only put up 14 points, exactly what they scored in both games, which is fascinating to me. But they're 1-0 in terms of the conference race. Charles, what are your thoughts in terms of this top 10 matchup?
I don't think there was anything about Tuskegee's offense that kind of scared me. I know they have a tremendous receiver in Hall, but that's impressive too. Back-to-back shutouts, albeit Fayetteville State and Central State, but Benedict's defense is for real. Can they get enough offense playing at home? I think they can. I got to go to Benedict Tigers at home.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Let's jump back to the CIAA with that top 10 matchup, which is number 10 Virginia State Trojans, 1-1 on the season. They're on the road to number 7 Winston-Salem State Rams and improve to 2-1 after winning next week. Again, this is one of those games that's a half conference games using AD's terminology, where the game counts for Winston-Salem State, but does not count for Virginia State Trojans. So fascinating when you think about that. Go back to you, AD Drew. What are your thoughts in terms of this CIAA matchup? Trojans versus the Rams.
This is a prove it to me game for the Winston-Salem Rams. Winston-Salem is a team that has the potential to be good, has the potential to win the conference. But Virginia State has been a team that has given them trouble. If I remember correctly, wasn't this one of those games also last year where the team that lost the game, it didn't hurt them because it didn't count for them. So, we got this strange quirk in the schedule again. Ironically, same week last year, same teams last year, except the location has flipped. You gotta like the Rams at home, but you can't count out the Trojans. But I'm going with the Gators on this one.
There got to be a lot of pressure when you go into the game. You need it much more than the point that you don't need it. That's an intriguing way to look at it. Charles, what are your thoughts in terms of this CIAA matchup?
I think AD hit the nail on the head. I think it's a prove it to me game. with regards to Winston-Salem State. Can we get a consistent Dalen lead? Went 15 to 17, 251 yards and 4 touchdowns against Lincoln. I love to see another top-notch performance from the quarterback play at Winston-Salem State, and I think they can get the win, especially at home.
Good stuff, good stuff. Let's go to our last matchup, which puts us back in the SIAC, featuring a game clock Atlanta Panthers at a number 6 coming into this matchup, but they have to take that number 6 ranking on the road. They come in 2-1, 1-0 in the SIAC. They're at Allen Yellow Jackets that are 1-2, but 1-0 in terms of conference play. So both of them obviously important in terms of the next stage of what they can get in the SIAC race. Fascinating to see. I'm going to stick with you, Charles, in regards to your thoughts on this ranking.
Yeah, too much Zy McDonald in this. I think Clark has a nice quarterback. Jackson State transfers come in, pace the offense, and they picked up right where they kind of left off last season. A good, impressive win last week, and I expect them to go on the road and get it done in Allen.
Good stuff, good stuff. 80, Drew?
Look, Teddy Keaton has threatened me that if I don't support him on your show, Dr. Cavil, and talk good about him, he's going to make sure that when we come over to play them this year, that he will not have a plate for me. So I need to make sure that I got my plate written, that I got my plate when I come over there. No, seriously, Clark Atlanta it seemed to be a team that's kind of plays at the level of its competition this year. They've been just, they haven't been that explosive 40, 50 point a game Clark that we saw last year, but they've been good enough to get the 2 dubs and then what potentially could have been a dub against Valdosta State. This Allen team has been good enough to compete, but has not been quite good enough to get over the hump as they have been in all 3 of their ball games. So with that being said, we're probably going to have a field goal game, but I'm leaning towards the hometown team.
Good stuff, good stuff. Charles, any final thoughts on him?
Oh, yeah. I'm going with Clark on this to get it done on the road. Like I said, I think Zy McDonald will be the catalyst, if you will, for Clark's offense for them to get it done.
Good stuff. Let's leave it right there. That's the 5 matchups at the mid-major. One of them does have the number 1 team going to face a major division team. We'll see what that all turns out next week and give you those updates as we continue. Look forward to seeing you on Thursday with that. That'll do it for us. Thank you for listening inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Watson and Charles Bishop. Again, we will hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you for listening to the Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Watson and Charles Bishop every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time, Sunday at 9 a.m. when we unveil the new rankings for the major division. We look forward to Thursday as we discuss the latest news in the lab. We get you set up, get you pointed on some of the key matchups, particularly at the major division. We'll look back and see what we see in terms of giving you some updates on the mid-major matchups as well. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, on Threads, Facebook, Instagram as DrKenyattaCavil, inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1 on Facebook, inside the HBCU Sports Lab on YouTube. Dream big, continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Charles?
Of course.
80?
Lecture.
Dismiss.